Assalamu alaikum. This is Mubaraka, and I just decided to randomly do a Facebook Live because I am scrolling along my feed and I see lots of comments about the post that I did yesterday. So I'm sitting in my living room and I'm like, maybe we should go live and talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about the sunnah of nutrition, because this is something that I think we get sidetracked from a lot when we are doing our when we're trying to eat healthier and be healthier. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of I shouldn't say drawbacks, that's not a good term. One of the things that we are lacking in the Western Islamic community is lots of books about health and wellness from a Islamic perspective. So we have books that talks about the Tibul Nabi. We do have several books that talks about herbs and foods that's mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah, but there isn't a lot that is a kind of like a detailed guide as to what we need to be focused on. I think that it's very general, and inshallah I'm working on that, but that's another story. So I made a post yesterday about whether or not it's natural for people to drink milk. So I had this interesting conversation with my cousins actually about nutrition and some of the things that are out there. Obviously, I get lots of questions whether I'm around family or friends or I'm speaking somewhere because that's what I do, right? So one of the things that we discussed, and it wasn't the first time that I had a discussion like this or a discussion that has been similar to this, about a lot of the fads, and I call them fads, a lot of the fads that are out there about nutrition and whether or not it's natural or adult human beings are supposed to drink milk, quote unquote. And I've actually seen this discussion on lots of blogs and Facebook and all this other stuff. So I will let you know from where I come from in everything that I post. And I realize that there are people who are not Muslim who follow my page or who follow my blog. But obviously, with all of this, you know that I'm Muslim, right? And everything that I do and I talk about, the first and foremost, hi Kimberly from Texas. I'm just saying Assalamu alaikum. Hey, Zainab from Morocco. Assalamu alaikum. So I wanted to, so one of the stance that I come from, so let me say what my stance is, because I think that it's really important that people understand that the view that I come from. So I always come from a view of two things. One, is it halal? Is it permissible in Islam? And number two, is there science to back it up? And more often than not, I am always finding the two coinciding with each other, which is one of the beautiful things to me about learning Islam and learning this deen, is that you find that there's so much hikmah in it, that it is truly a lifestyle, and everything that we know, we can study it for our entire lives and still don't have the full grasp of it. And so we try to get as much as we can when we can. So one of the things that I kept seeing is there's two things that I'm going to talk about. So I'm trying not to be on a super long time, but there's two things that I want to specifically talk about that I see as a trend among Muslims, which is a little bit disturbing to me, is this concept that adults are not supposed to drink milk. So that is one, it's un-Islamic to say that. I will say it right off the back, that is in contradiction of what it means to believe in Allah. Because when we say that we believe in Allah and we believe in the Quran, we believe in the truth of everything that is revealed in the Quran. And it is very clear that there is an ayat in the Quran which Allah specifically says that He sent us milk to drink from the animals. So because of this ayat, as a Muslim, we can never say that this is unnatural or milk is not good for us. Now, that as a general statement. If you have an allergy to milk or you're lactose intolerant, then of course, then you should not do anything to harm your body. But that does not mean that it is not good for anybody because you have an allergy to it. Even some people say, which is actually, there's really no scientific proof that 75% of the world's population is allergic to milk. That's actually there's no research. People quote that, but there's no research to actually prove that 75% of people are actually allergic to milk. In plenty places, and a lot of people always point out that many African Americans are also lactose intolerant and allergic to milk. There are plenty tribes in Africa who all they do is survive off of goat's milk or cow's milk. So it's not something that is just because you're black, you can't drink milk, right? And I say that being full aware that I myself have become lactose intolerant as I got older. So completely aware that it is something that can happen, and you have to do things, you have to eat according to your own personal health. It's kind of like peanuts are completely halal, but obviously if you are going to go into anaphylactic shock if you eat peanuts, then you shouldn't be eating them. That doesn't mean the entire world should stop eating peanuts because you have an allergy. And milk is the same way. There are benefits to milk. There's benefits to drinking milk. Milk is one of the only foods that actually has a balanced macronutrient ratio. A cup of milk has about 120 calories. It has 8 grams of protein in it. It has about 13 grams of carbohydrates, and it has about 8 grams of fat to it. And so this is actually a balanced macronutrient ratio. It is a beneficial food for people who can drink it. Just like yogurt is beneficial for people who can drink it. Now, whether or not you drink milk, you don't drink it because of the way that the industrialized pasteurization happens. Yes, there's lots of things in our modern farming system that makes it really questionable whether or not it is okay to drink milk from cows who are treated inhumanely. That is an entire another conversation. All right. So whether or not you should drink pasteurized milk that people say have hormones in it and the cows aren't treated right, that's a moral stance for the way a particular farming industry does it. It is not a stance against all milk. Not only that, but in addition to that, so if you don't want to drink milk because you claim it has bacteria in it or pus in it or the cows aren't treated right, what would you say to someone who actually owns their own cow? You know, one of the things that I find it's really interesting, my husband and I, we try to go on vacation at least a couple of times a year, and we are both actually slightly lactose intolerant. I say slightly because I can't really drink whole milk without having digestive problems, but I can eat yogurt and not have digestive problems. There's just a difference in the way that it's processed. But the other thing that we notice is that when we go to Costa Rica, we were able to go. So last time we went to Costa Rica, it was absolutely wonderful, right? So we went ATVing and we went up the side of a Costa Rican rainforest mountain something. And actually at the top of the mountain was a coffee shop. Right? And so that was really cool because the name of the coffee shop was called The Happiest Place on Earth. And you sitting there and you literally have no worries. Everything is so beautiful right there. And we had coffee and we noticed that neither one of us had any type of digestive disturbance. And so we were asking them so what kind of milk do you use? Do you use cream? And so the lady just pointed to the back of the coffee shop in the field, and there's cows sitting there, right? So that was her cream that she was giving us. And it's a completely different digestive process when you're drinking raw milk. Now, do I drink raw milk all the time? Nope, I will not. I will not be dishonest with you. I think even though this is the internet, I try to be as forthright and honest as I possibly can. It's certainly very different drinking pasteurized milk versus drinking milk that's raw milk. So again, that is one of the first things. So the second thing that I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I know I'm gonna have 101 comments of people who are mad at me about vegetarianism in Islam. All right, I know you're gonna be mad, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It is the same as the concept of drinking milk. Is it haram to be a vegetarian? No. From my knowledge, it is not haram to be a vegetarian. But to go around and to claim that it's the sunnah to be vegetarian is just inaccurate. The Prophet ﷺ, he drank milk, he ate meat. We know this clearly through many, many hadith. He was not a vegetarian. Did he eat as much as meat as we eat today? Absolutely not. Because meat was expensive during the time of the Prophet. He lived in a desert. They didn't have a plethora of fruits and vegetables growing everywhere. They had certain things that grew in the desert environment. There's a hadith where Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that there were days where they only had the two black things for 3 days, which is dates and water. This is a hadith, it's a sahih hadith, but nobody goes around saying, let's do the date and water diet. I'm just saying, let's put stuff in perspective. Okay, so he ate less meat than we ate today. Yes, meat was expensive during that time. It was not consumed on a daily basis and every meal basis. So should we eat less meat? Absolutely. We should eat less, period. We eat way too much. If you want to practice the sunnah, the first thing that you should do in the sunnah of nutrition is eat less. It's so important that we control the desires of our stomachs. It is the base of all disease. This is a saying of Umar ibn Khattab, that the stomach is the base of all of your diseases. And this is so true. And we know that here, particularly in the West, the number one killers in disease are all food-based illnesses. You have heart disease, you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure. All of those can be avoided with proper nutrition, and they can be treated with proper nutrition. So that is something that we have to be really, really conscious of. So I would say that the thing that I want to get across most is keep everything in the perspectives of the way that it was done by the Prophet ﷺ, the way that it is prescribed in the Quran, the way that it was practiced in the Sunnah. We have to keep the perspective of the time that the Prophet lived, what was available to the Prophet during the time that he lived. You know, I read, I'm going to tell you about a hadith, and I don't know if it's sahih or not, so I'll say that right off the back. I read it, and it was a hadith about when the Sahabas, when they first discovered rice. So this is really interesting. So they were on an expedition, and they came across a field, and the horses actually, they ate this grain that they ate the plant, and the Sahabas did not know what it was because they had never seen it before. And so one of the Sahabas suggested that they slaughter the animals. I believe it was the camels, not horses, camels. They had camels. That they slaughter them and they eat them because they were going to die because they thought that the rice was poison. And another Sahaba, he said, no, I'll stay up overnight and I will watch them. And if they are okay, then this is something that we can eat too. And so the animals were okay, and the next day they actually partook of the grains of rice. But when they offered it to the Prophet ﷺ, he said that this is not the food of my people. That you eat it, it's okay, but I don't want it. It's not the food of my people. So to me, that is an indication of you can eat what is halal and what is available for you in your time, in your place. what is familiar to you and your culture and your family, as long as it's halal. And we have to be very conscious that we are not only promoting this, that if it's halal, then you partake of it. Being vegetarian, obviously, it's halal. You're eating fruits and vegetables and grains. There's no problem with this. But at the same time, we should not try to make up stuff to condemn other people that eat meat, because this is halal too. The way that you eat is really your prerogative, right? So I'm concerned that you eat halal and that you eat something that's healthy. So what's healthy for somebody in Africa is different from what's healthy from somebody in Dubai, and what's healthy for me in America. What's available to us are totally different things. So it's really important that we just accept that and stop trying to villainize other people for not following our chosen way of eating or looking at things. As long as it's verified and it's halal, then go for it. So those are the two things that I wanted to talk about, is drinking of milk and being a vegetarian in Islam. And that, so the honest truth is, drinking of milk is absolutely halal. And yes, I will say that it is beneficial because Allah himself has said he has given it to us as a sign. It is barakah in drinking milk. And I would say the same thing when it comes to eating meat. There's ayats in the Quran where Allah has told us that we can eat meat. There is barakah in what Allah specifically says. And this is a part of being Muslim and accepting Islam wholeheartedly, that you accept with what Allah and his messenger has said and has sent to us. Because when the last ayat was revealed, Allah said, on this day, I have perfected this religion. I have perfected it. That means after that day, there was nothing that Allah forgot to give us, no information that was mixed up, nothing that he was going to take back, nothing he was going to add to it. It was perfected on that day. And there is no new science that's going to come out that's going to tell us that what Allah has said in the Quran is I had to stop a phone call. So there's nothing that science is going to come out and tell us that what Allah has said is no longer valid. So that is really, really important for us as Muslims. And that is my stance. First and foremost, we have to make sure that we are doing things that is in line with the Quran and Sunnah. I'm going to answer like just a couple of questions. Okay, so Carla says, what kind of milk from what animal? In the ayat of Quran, Allah does not specify the animal. He just says that he has given you animals and given you what comes from them between what is excretion and blood, and that is milk that is pure and palatable. So you can scroll down on the Fit Muslimah page and look for the post beneath this. I think it's maybe 2 posts beneath this, and it's the actual ayat there and the translation there, and it will tell you exactly the ayat that you can go to, and you can look and see what it says. But it does not say the specific animal. It's animals, which is why goat milk is halal and cow's milk is halal. So if the animal produces milk, we can drink it. How can we get pure raw milk every day? So that depends on where you live. Here I live in Connecticut, and we have a small health food store that is a few blocks from my house, and they actually have raw milk that comes from local farms, and every state is different. So I don't know what it's like in Canada or in a different country, but in the United States of America, raw milk, the law is raw milk is is legal to sell, but it cannot cross state lines, which is actually good, because if you're going to buy raw milk, you want it from a local farm and a local cow. So here in Connecticut, the health food store has it, but also the farm that they actually get their raw milk from is about 15 minutes from me. So if I wanted to actually go there and get my own raw milk, they sell raw milk to the public. So you might want to do some Google search for wherever you are, Aisha, and see if there's a local farm near you that actually sells raw milk, just kind of like your city or state raw milk and local farming or something like that, and you should be able to find some place. I don't know if larger stores like Whole Foods sell it. We have a Whole Foods here, but I don't go there that often, simply because it's so darn expensive. But and I have a health food store that's right around the corner, and it's convenient, and my son actually works there, and we've been going here for 24 years, so it has everything that we need. Zachariah says, can you tell me, are we allowed to diet in Islam, or how many times we should eat in a day? I'm not sure how to answer that question. Are you allowed to diet in Islam? I mean, you can eat as little, or you mean diet as far as go on a diet? You can eat as little or as much as that's permissible. And there is no ayat of Quran or hadith that says only eat this many times a day. It just doesn't exist. So you eat what is permissible, and what you can, also too, think about what you can afford. So that's really important. So I think that's it. I'll give like a couple of seconds for a couple more. Okay, so women are doing diets these days. I mean, when you say diet, do you mean like, Zachariah, do you mean like a diet like to lose weight diet? I'm not sure what that means. I mean, it's no haram in doing a diet to lose weight. That's probably even encouraged if you're overweight, because the haram is gluttony, not trying to decrease the food to lose weight. Oh, crash diet. So there's no haram in that. I mean, as long as you're doing it in a healthy way. I mean, everybody's definition of crash diet is different. So what I think I'm going to do is that there is one more topic that I wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it today. And part of that reason is the topic that we're going to talk about is fasting. Yay! Inshallah, Ramadan is in about 6 weeks. I'm actually fasting today, which is really encouraged, because even though our days are going to be about 45 minutes, an hour shorter than they were last year, we still want to start preparing our bodies for the fast of Ramadan. So I'm actually not going to go into that, because I'm almost at a 30-minute mark, and I actually have to go and figure out what I'm going to make for dinner, because I am fasting, and as soon as Maghrib comes in, I want to eat. I do not want to delay, because right now in Connecticut, Fajr came in at 4:10 this morning, and I woke up a little early, so I haven't eaten since like 3:45, and so I think Maghrib comes in somewhere around 8 o'clock, I think. So it's a pretty long day. Alhamdulillah, I feel okay. I didn't have a lot of things to do today, so alhamdulillah, I'm okay. But again, there is science now about the benefits of fasting. But I'm going to start getting off on a tangent, so I don't want to get off on a tangent. So inshallah, again, you can like, you can comment. If you comment after the video is over, inshallah, I'll try to read them and respond to them. And until next time, I'm going to try to go again on Sunday, maybe. All right. Assalamu alaikum.